Hello, welcome to another Northstar Talks Politics. This is a topic that I'm almost certainly going to want to redo at some point. Maybe produce a part two or a longer video, or just redo this all when I've got more experience and skill in video editing. Can actually put something together with stock footages, articles, clipped in such a way that it's better than my just opening browsers. But I just wanted to get some kind of say something about this topic and some kind of very basic video out there which could gauge interest among other things. Um, and that is justice isn't justice if it goes to the highest bidder. And I mean by that, well, I mean some of it's self-explanatory. But in the United States, we have a lot of laws that are unjust. And already the laws are created by politicians who are bought by billionaires, two-party system where the parties aren't even legally obligated to do their internal primaries and such in a fair and open manner. That was literally the legal logic that the Democratic Party used when they got sued for essentially rigging the 2016 primary against Bernie. Um, they went to court and said, well, it's a private organization. We're not obligated to follow any kind of principles of fairness. And the court accepted that logic, and the case got thrown out rather than anything being able to raise to prove, they had rigged the primary. That wasn't even adjudicated because as a privatization, it was ruled they didn't have to. So a system like that, billionaires control the parties, billionaires control the elections, their political ad spending, billionaires put up right-wing think tanks that go and constantly propagandize and brainwash the public into their ways of thinking and control the conversation, make it seem like there's more of an academic consensus in their direction than where the actual academic consensus lies in things, and cast doubt on things like global warming. And then on top of that, you get the rich have way more money to file legal challenges to laws. So the politicians have to be careful how they um, draft things up and how they word things that they don't get sued by the rich, but they never have to worry about that from the poor. It's not even a vaguely fair system how the laws are created in the first place. But then if an unfair law is created, in this oligarchical plutocratic system that isn't really a democracy to begin with, the poor can't challenge laws often because how are they going to do it? You, the legal system has intentionally been made incredibly complicated, and so any attempt at representing yourself when challenging unjust law is a joke. It's not going to work. If you can try it, but you're going to do little more than a symbolic showing, you're not going to actually be able to win most of the time, even if you're a genius. I mean, I'm literally a genius, although I'm suffering from long COVID and can't think as clearly as normal. I've been tested as such, but if I were to try and represent myself in court, I would almost certainly lose. You'd find no one who could win in such a situation, pretty much. It just doesn't happen anymore. Um, it's incredibly rare and require a mass amount of time to teach yourself legal principles, plus being very, very smart, plus well spoken, a lot of other things, to even have a chance. There are so-called legal aid groups, but these groups are funded by the government and exist mainly really just to proclaim that the legal system is fair and that people have access to legal services. They really don't. These legal aid groups are underfunded. They don't have enough people on staff. They take a very limited number of people they help. They only help on very specific issues, which are often like problems with the government bureaucracy and only very dire problems. They won't help you with small problems, and they will not help you challenge unjust laws. And then even when you get help with stuff like receiving some help from those people with some Social Security Administration stuff now, the people are in a hurry. They do a sloppy job. They don't follow up on things. I've experienced all of this firsthand already with one of these people. I don't think this is an unusual experience. From what I've heard, this is what everyone experiences. These legal services are crap because we have a system that's justice for the highest bidder, and they only exist, these legal services, to create I don't know, an olive branch or a guise of a fair legal system that really isn't fair. It's so that people in power can say, oh, you can take things to court, but no, you really can't because these people don't help you with taking laws to court. That's not, they will refuse to take those kinds of cases. And even the things they help people with, they do a rush job of, and they'll advise like, oh, just cooperate with people. While the with the bureaucracy, the bureaucracy is clearly actively trying to screw you. That's not advice. So just cooperate with your oppressors. No, that's like the public defenders, and this brings me to a well-known, well-documented problem of they're free legal public defenders supposedly. You know, Miranda rights, you have a right to a lawyer, except those lawyers will just advise people to just settle their cases, to just plead guilty, even when they're completely innocent. They will not back someone up if they try and fight. They'll like drop the case. They won't help the person. They will spend like an average of 45 minutes on a case. They they're required to, so they're in a hurry. They're underslept, overworked, stressed. They tell people to just settle or plead guilty on cases, and people don't get any kind of real legal representation. And this is part of why the U.S. has such an inequality in things like imprisonment rates between the rich and the poor. And then, of course, the poor are driven into literal slavery because slavery is still legal if you're a prisoner in the United States. And this is often in a racist manner. And this is how you get the prison industrial complex. This is how you get prisoners literally picking cotton for pennies a day or no pay at all in the deep south. This is how you get factory work done in prisons. This is all exploitation, and it is an example of the abuses of the United States system, which is not a democracy. I can't emphasize this enough. If you live in the United States, you do not live in a democracy. You live in an oligarchy. There's studies, I can point you guys right to one of them if you want, but the United States is not a democracy. It's an oligarchy. The research shows this. There's attempts to, of course, obscure this and put out fake data that contradicts that by the very rich. But there was a seminal research study done that very clearly showed this very definitively, and the things that try and call into question are not credible at all. They're just an example of it's like the climate change fake science, except in social sciences. The fact is, it's the United States has only the interests of a very small group of people, the very rich, the large corporations represented, no one else. And we do not get fair access to legal services if you're poor, if you're disabled. I was somebody who would have probably been considered at the edge of becoming upper middle class as I was about to enter an MD program, probably become a physician. From ostensibly middle class background, but really poor. People who were poor and like to call themselves middle class because 75% of Americans consider themselves middle class, which is ridiculous. It should be probably like 50% or a third. So really upper lower class because house poverty and raised by a single mother who really struggled after getting divorced with her career. And yeah, well, I may have been someone who was on the verge of becoming privileged by system. God, I lost my train of thought. Long COVID sucks. Yeah, I'm disabled now. I'm very much part of the group that's oppressed by the system because with long COVID, I'm too sick to work. That means pitiful amounts of financial resources and the government trying to screw me even harder in a million ways. And so I face this like I'd like to challenge a law that was passed in the 90s that helped to undermine the social security system to say that universities didn't have to pay payroll tax in for student employees, which combined with the fact that grad school doesn't get any kind of credit in itself. And if you're in grad school, you're a lot in university a lot longer, and you're much more likely that if you're doing work, that despite grad school competing for your time. If you're doing for pay work, you're often doing it for the university, and so you may not be aware of it, as I wasn't, but you're not getting payroll tax contributions, even though you're working, and you're working large numbers of hours and making substantial amounts of pay. And if you're doing the same job while not working for the university while a student, you would be getting payroll tax contributions, but you're not, and you're not getting Social Security disability insurance credit, therefore. So I'd like to challenge that law. It's unjust. It screws over graduate students and fairly targets young people who are already getting screwed by the way the work credits ramp up till 31 and then plateau. But the ability to do something like that is difficult when you don't have easy access to legal services. And this goes right back to what the U.S. legal system is, which is justice for sale to the highest bidder. So I'll have to do a better video on this remade somewhere, but I thought I'd get something out. I hope you folks found this video interesting. It's an important topic to discuss. I'd love to hear your comments, thoughts. Leave them in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't. You'll get more of my videos that way. And I need to get a sufficient subscriber count that can make ad money of my channel, because it may be the only money I'm able to bring in, aside from a little money from the state government, if they don't pull that because of federal funding cuts, so even the state on the hook from old things. So I may not even have that in the future. And I'm getting screwed with my student loans with the disbanding the Department of Education and saying student loans, the Small Business Administration, and removing um, the income-based repayment plans, which I was in one of those $0 payments. I'm disabled, but you can't get full disability forgiveness until 5 years, and they're moving those programs to Health and Human Services, which is headed by RFK, which will probably try and fuck people over and not give them disability loan forgiveness. So I'm screwed. If I hope to survive, I need to add money from this channel. So I need subscribers. Anyways, I wish you folks all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves, and may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Adieu, and best luck, viewers.